Hi there, welcome back. In this week's video I'm going to be taking a look at this, my new bandsaw. Now you're probably asking yourself, why didn't I just buy a brand new bandsaw? Bandsaws in this sort of price, in this sort of size, are not that high in price. There's a couple of reasons, but I'll get to them further along in the video. But there's a couple of things that I liked about this which aren't available on bandsaws in this sort of price range. So the main problem with this is that the saw blade wants to jump off the rollers all the time. So that's going to be the first problem that I'm going to try and sort out. However, there's also a couple of things that I've already seen which I don't sort of like. The first one being this piece of wood that it's mounted to, which is just all wobbly and horrible, so that will be one of the things I'll get rid of. And the second one being this guide here, I don't like. It's got a slight bit of play to it, even when it's tight at the back. So that's not going to be very good for setting up the guides. Another thing, it's missing some screws here, around here, so I'm going to get some screws, but I will probably get some ones with like little knobs on them so that I can undo them easily. Apart from that, it needs a really good clean. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the front off and we'll look inside and see what we find. Before I open it, I just want to mention that it's made by a company called Rexon. It's called a BS12RA. Don't ask me what them numbers and letters mean, that's just the model number. I will probably be getting rid of this sticker and just painting over it to make it look nice and sleek. Remove the cover. And this is a metal cover, feels nice and solid. And that's what we find on the inside. So we've got some plastic rollers here, a belt with sort of a tensioner system here. And yeah, some nice bearings on the inside I can see. First thing I can see is there's missing a clip down here, which is going to be holding this roller on and this bearing in its housing. So yeah, let's see if I can figure out why it's not working. I think the first thing I'll do is I'll take the table off and this guide and all that, so we're only working with the belt. Okay, so the table's made out of cast aluminium. It feels really good. It has got some slots in here as well, which I may use, may not. I might make a new table. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see what we decide to do down the road. These guides here, I will probably leave the guide on the bottom and change the guide on the top, because the guide on the bottom only really gets set once and then you sort of forget about it. So this guide here, all it is a piece of bent metal, and it's got a bearing in there, down there, and some guideposts. I think I can do better than that. Okay, so now we're looking at what we need to sort out here, and that is this belt going around here. As you can see, it flies off. So I think before I put it back on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rollers off and see if I can see anything wrong with it really. Obviously we're missing a clip down here which is going to hold this wheel in, but I don't think that's going to be causing a major issue. So that's the belt. It could do with a new belt, although this is okay. It's still going to work with this belt. But you can see here I can take the wheel off without any real tools because there's missing a clip. And I can already see in here something that's not original. There is a washer in here, and that's loose. And this washer here definitely was not put in by the manufacturer. This is a different washer. And this washer is going to be pushing this wheel out further than it needs to be. So I'm going to remove that and we'll see if it works just like that. Okay, so that works. Let's put the band on and see if it jumps off again. Now I can already see up the top here that the band, when I turn it, is actually wanting to jump off the wheel, which would indicate to me that this wheel needs to be turned slightly. So there is an adjustment for that on the back. Okay, so I've managed now to get it to go around without jumping off by manually turning it. The only real way now to see if it's going to jump off is to turn it on. And obviously to turn it on, I'm going to put the cover back on because it's dangerous if it flies off. So I now got the cover on, and I'm going to turn the speed down a little bit. I've got the cover over the top here, and that's going to keep the belt inside if it does end up coming off the wheels. Okay, so that appears to have solved that problem. This little washer here, wherever it's gone, appears to have been the culprit. One thing I did notice though, however, was a lot of wobble on the belt. So the belt was moving in and out and whatnot, which means there's going to be some misalignment on the wheels. I might make new wheels, I'm not sure yet, we'll have to see. So what I'm going to do now, I know it does work, and I've sort of solved the main issue that we had, which was the band always jumping off the wheels. I'm going to take it apart completely, so we're going to have just the separate components. That's going to enable me to firstly clean everything and service everything. And I'm going to replace a lot of the parts, so like the bearings I'm going to be replaced. I might use my CNC machine behind me and make some new wheels. I might just use the CNC machine to redress the wheels that are already on here, I don't know yet. But next job is going to be just to dismantle it and take everything apart and put it all out on the table and look at what we've got. Okay, so I've got all the parts laid out on the table here, and it kind of reminds me of James May, the reassembler. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but this is how he sort of lays out things when he does it. So yeah, I've got all the parts laid out, and a couple of things that stick out to me are that, first of all, it's very dusty. There's dust in everything, even inside the motor, inside the housing here. Places dust shouldn't get, dust has been. Even inside of this electronics box, it's all full of dust. So that's something that I'm going to have to make sure when I put it back together, maybe put some more gaskets in it or something like that to reduce dust. Another thing I found while I was taking it apart is some more washers, which I don't think are meant to be there. I'm going to leave them there for now, but we will see when I come to reassemble it if they are actually needed or not. Okay, so let's make a plan. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to order some new parts. First parts I'm going to order are some of these little springy, I don't know what they're called, like a circlip to hold the wheels onto the shafts. I'm going to order some new bearings for the wheels. These bearings feel okay, but I'm going to order new ones just while I've got it apart. I'm also going to order new parts for this assembly here. I'm going to completely remake my own version of this, and you will see that in the next video. Although this belt is still working fine, I'm going to order a new one and I will have a spare. And I might order some more blades as well. Okay, so for the main housing over here, my plan is to just clean it and give it a quick coat of paint to make it look, freshen it up a little bit. I think I'm going to try and restore the table as it is there, but I may make my own table, I don't know yet, we'll see further along the line. For the wheels, some of them look okay, but some of them look like they've been sort of chewed up a little bit, like this one here. And I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. I imagine it's not. So what I'm going to do to finish off this episode is I'm going to put these wheels on the CNC and I'm going to manually redress the outside of the wheels. Okay, so you'd have seen in them last few clips of how I did the wheels. What I did is I mounted them on the CNC, and then by angling the plate I could create different angles on the wheels. So for this wheel here, this is the wheel that has the drive belt on it. I did a flat profile, so that doesn't have any bevel on it whatsoever. This wheel at the top here, I have a crown on, and I also put some of this Gorilla Tape on it, and then use some normal insulation tape, this stuff here, just to cover it up. And this wheel here has a flat section on the back here and a sort of a crown section on the front here. So it has sort of two profiles, and the wheel can be flipped around on the machine. I just want to take 2 minutes here to talk about why I prefer older machines, and that is because of this guy right here. This is the shell. And the shell is built out of, it's cast aluminium, so it's got all these strengtheners in here, and it just makes it really strong. And I would say machines that you would buy nowadays in this price range are just folded steel, and they're not as strong as this. This here is the bulk of the machine, and this is what gives it all its strength, and this is why I brought an old machine. And if you ever wondered how to store a blade by folding it, what I do is I hold the blade like this with the teeth facing away, and I put my thumbs on the rear edge of the blade, and I twist it and push the front of the blade down so that it sort of hooks underneath, and then I use my legs and just roll it up like that. And now that blade is a lot easier to store than it is in its open form. To open it up, it's a bit tricky, but what I like to do is grab two parts of it and just sort of slowly release the tension, and then it's back open. So all that's left to do now is to clean everything up, order the new parts, and get this thing put back together. I'm obviously going to order some new bearings for the wheels. I'm going to order some new belts, and I'm also going to clean everything up. I'm definitely going to improve on this thing here, which is the linear guide. And I'm also going to give it a nice coat of paint. But all that is going to come up next week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.